Hi, Kat here with Standing Stone Kennel, and we have Breezy with us today. She has been bred to a male named Walker, and if you can't tell, she's very pregnant. Here, she goes, let me sit down and give you a better view of how pregnant I am. So she is due in 3 days. We calculate based on a 63-day pregnancy with these guys. And during their pregnancy at 28 days, we actually do an ultrasound to confirm pregnancy. With Breezy, as big as she was at that point, we were pretty sure she was pregnant even before the ultrasound, but we went ahead anyway just so that we were for sure. Then at 55 days, we were able to do an X-ray to try and get a puppy count. And those puppies were packed in there like sardines. The vet, he was struggling to get an accurate puppy count. He thought he could count 11, but he could pretty much guarantee he thought he saw 9, but he said no guarantees. She could even have more than 11. So we do the X-ray in order to have a better idea of what we're in for when her labor starts, knowing that, oh, she's had 8 puppies, but the vet for sure saw 9 means, hey, her labor's not over yet. So if it stalls out or we can't tell that there are any puppies in there anymore just from the visual outside, we know that there's still more puppies, and we just have to make sure that we stay with her through the end of that labor. So you can see her panting here a little bit. That's one of the things that we look for in pre-labor, as well as she's so big, she's probably just panting from discomfort at this point. But she's relaxing and laying down in her whelping box. We want to move them into their whelping box prior to their due date so that if they come up to 3 days early, they are comfortable in this area and they have enough space and a proper environment to have those puppies. So we have our Joan Art whelping box. I have my dividers out here so she can easily get in and out of the box. With as big as she is, I definitely don't want her trying to jump up over the side and hurt herself or hurt her puppies. So we have the divider out. There's a whelping nest. If you followed along with our other puppy whelping and raising series, you saw that there's a whelping nest in the center. I've got it covered up with some bedding right now, but that's where we have the puppies available to stay at the proper temperature. They can get into that whelping nest and crawl out of that whelping nest. And then I do have some bedding in here, like you can see. That is because another part of her labor and progression of labor is she's going to want to nest. She's going to want to dig up material and make a little nest for herself. And that's part of the progression of her labor. And that's normal for your dog to do. And if she doesn't have anything to dig up, A, she's not going to be happy with that situation. And B, she's going to really be digging and digging and digging at my whelping box. And I definitely don't want her to do that either. I also want to mention that in preparation for puppies and her labor, we've trimmed her nails and shaped them nicely so that when those puppies are born and we expect a big litter and a lot of puppies wiggling around in here, she won't hopefully step on one and injure it with a sharp, long nail. There's always the potential that she could with a giant litter that size, and a mama, which it's not her first litter, but a mama trying to keep track of all of them can be difficult, which is why we monitor those puppies and her labor so closely through this process. We actually have a nest cam up on the ceiling that points down into the whelping box so that we can check in on her periodically throughout the day prior to her having her puppies, and then also check in on her and her puppies after they're born. We sit with our mamas through the entire labor process and all of the delivery, make sure that we're here to help them if there's any issues with her labor, and be able to monitor if there's an issue that we can get to the vet right away. So we start that process by having her prepped and ready and the whelping box prepped and ready, but I also make sure I have towels on hand, a puppy scale, I've got my puppy diagram as well that I have ready, and then I also make sure that I have scissors if you need to stay in this box, mama. Scissors on hand, and then I also use one of those bulbs that you can help with aspirating the puppy if they need a little bit of help with that. Mama, why don't you come in here? I also have a nice treat for Breezy. It is a Pet Stages wood chew. She likes to chew, so I'm going to give her that bone. She hasn't started really having any signs of labor yet, so she might get bored in the box and decide to chew something up that she shouldn't, like the edge of my whelping box or something like that. So if I give her a bone that she's going to town on right away as an okay way to relieve some of that boredom, then she doesn't chew something up that she shouldn't. So the last thing that I like to start checking on our mamas is temperature. So their temperature will actually drop prior to labor starting, about 24 hours prior to labor starting. So in that last week prior to her due date, I start checking temperatures twice, if not 3 times a day, especially if I'm thinking that labor is getting close, and see what their temperatures are at. So a dog's normal temperature is 100 to 102 degrees Fahrenheit. And so we're going to take her temperature, and typically when our females drop below 99.0 degrees is when that temperature drop that I'm looking for happens. So I'm going to actually have to stand her up to take her temperature. If you've never taken a dog's temperature, come on, Breeze, stand up. Okay, mama. You actually take it rectally. I make sure that I have a soft tipped thermometer so that it can go in easily. Doesn't have to go in very far. Then I just can turn it on. I don't know if you can see that.
I can't see the temperature, but I can see the thermometer.
Okay. Well, it is 100 degrees Fahrenheit exactly. So I'm going to set that aside because I need to wash it, of course, after it was just used rectally. And then I need to make sure I put it back in our medicine cabinet. Right, honey? No, we have dog-specific thermometers. But so she's at 100 degrees. I'm going to make sure I take that again this evening and then again in the morning and continue to monitor her. Yeah, that smells, doesn't it? She's like, it smells like me. Yes, it does. And continue monitoring her temperature as well as the other signs that I look for, which include the panting, like I mentioned, and the nesting and the restlessness. Lots of times our mamas get comfortable and sleep a lot prior to their labor engaging as well because they're resting up for this long process. So Breezy's going to get relaxed and comfortable in the box, and we are going to keep you updated on her progress of her labor and show you what puppies being born looks like. So if you want to follow along and watch this entire series of whelping a litter of puppies, which this is going to be a bigger litter of puppies, so there'll be changes from our last litter of only 4 puppies with the Muddy and Benny litter progress. Make sure to subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications so that you don't miss any of these videos because there's going to be a lot of great information that we don't want you to miss out on. So Breezy's going to get some lovin's from me and then get relaxed in her box. Thanks for watching and check back soon.